Shanti Bill stands for Sustainable Harnessing and Advancement of Nuclear Energy for Transforming India. 24 supply of base load power. So what is a base load power? Government have a full control over the nuclear energy generation. Private players are not allowed. Government has a complete control over the nuclear power generation. It has proposed that again private companies are also allowed. It was operator fault or not fault, operator is liable to pay for the nuclear accident, maximum compensation which can be asked from the operator, and it of course it is going to enhance the energy security of the country. So very important topic for your examination. Hello everyone, welcome to yet another session of current affairs. So recently the parliament, that is both the houses of parliament, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, has passed the Shanti Bill of 2025. Shanti Bill stands for Sustainable Harnessing and Advancement of Nuclear Energy for Transforming India. So this is something, a very landmark bill which has been passed by the parliament with an idea of India's nuclear energy framework. The bill is trying to talk about investment in the nuclear energy sector of India, followed by what kind of safety protocols which we need to follow, what will be the liability in case of any nuclear accidents, and maybe talking about the whole idea of having a 24/7 base load power. So again, we're going to discuss basically what exactly is this bill and how it is going to change the whole nuclear energy sector of India. So before this, why nuclear energy is an important matter for us, right? So you understand, in India, we need 24 supply of base load power. So what is a base load power? Base load power is basically something that for a constant running of a country, we require minimum amount of electricity, which is supposed to be available 24/7. And again, with respect to this availability of 24/7 supply of electricity, so we are relying currently on coal based energy. But with the climate change happening, with our commitments to reduce the greenhouse gases, so we are also incorporating to renewable energy resources. But the problem with renewable energy sources, for example solar, wind and hydel power, are that they do not have a constant source of energy supply. Solar energy depends upon the availability of sunlight. Wind energy depends upon the availability of wind circulation. So they are not giving us a 24/7 supply of the energy which is required for the base load power of the country. And coal, of course, has a problem of greenhouse gas emission. And in India, in order to fight climate change, we have international commitments to reduce the greenhouse gases. So this is where we are going to shift the focus with respect to energy generation from coal, from these, let's say, renewable energy sources, to something more secure, to something which is more, let's say, available 24/7. And this is where we are resorting to nuclear energy generation capacity. And this is where the bill is talking about that how exactly we are going forward, that we are going to talk about the idea of energy security vis-a-vis the idea of nuclear energy, because nuclear energy is a clean source of energy. It is reliable, available 24/7. It has a high density of energy. So basically this nuclear energy is important for India for energy security, plus to commit and to attain the net zero goals of India in terms of fighting the climate change. So this is something the bill has talked about. So now what has the bill and why do we require the new nuclear energy bill? So don't we have any current mechanism which is regulating nuclear sector of India? Yes, but the laws which we have with respect to nuclear energy as of now, they are very outdated. If I talk about the Atomic Energy Act of 1962, is an act which is governing the nuclear sector of the country, right? So these laws are very restrictive, and the nuclear sector is dominant. In fact, government have a full control over the nuclear energy generation. Private players are not allowed. So these laws are of course very old, and it is too restrictive and allowing only government entities to have a control in the nuclear energy generation. And we have another law that is talking about civil liability for nuclear damage. It is the, I understand, I'll explain the what exactly this law all about. So basically, this law tells that in case of any nuclear accidents happening in the country, who will be held liable and what is the amount of penalty that person is going to pay or that operator is going to pay. So this is something which was very regressive in nature. And again, the liability was, let's say restricting the foreign investors, foreign suppliers to invest in the country. So this is where these two laws which have been there with respect to the nuclear energy sector, so they were restricting the, let's say, expansion of nuclear energy in India, and that's why we are having low nuclear capacity expansion in the country. So this Shanti bill, which has been coming under the Ministry of Science and Technology and Earth Sciences, very important fact for your prelims examination. So this bill is going to replace the old two laws with respect to the nuclear energy sector of the country, that are these two which we have discussed. And the aim is to modernize the nuclear law in the country, and again, which is going to which attract investment. It is going to talk about the safety with respect to the nuclear energy generation and who will be held accountable for any nuclear accidents. So again, a new law which is going to give a very fresh outlook to the whole idea of this three investment, safety and accountability mechanism. So this is going to be a biggest reform in order to opening of nuclear energy sector for private sector as well. So that is something which this bill is talking about. Then let's look at what changes this bill has proposed with respect to the earlier two laws and how new reforms have been introduced under this particular bill. And that is something which is very important to understand from examination point of view as well. So if you look at who can now participate. So earlier, with respect to the nuclear energy generation, only government has a complete control over the nuclear power generation, right? So now with this new Shanti bill, it has proposed that again private companies are also allowed to, let's say, enter into the nuclear energy sector. Government plus private joint ventures are also allowed, public-private partnership. Other entities are also permitted by the central government, but the law still is not allowing foreign incorporated companies. They are still not allowed to operate in the Indian soil, right? So now, what kind of activities are allowed for these companies who are allowed to invest and again, let's say, work in the nuclear energy sector? So they are allowed to build, own and operate nuclear power plants in the country, and they are also allowed to for fabrication, for transportation and for storage of nuclear fuel in the country, right? So this is where a very major landmark shift has been there, where again private players, public-private partnerships are allowed with respect to nuclear energy generation in the country. Then with respect to the safety norms, so it is very important because understand nuclear energy generation is a very sensitive yet a highly, let's say, dangerous thing. So this is where safety has been taken a topmost concern, and this bill also talks about that how we are going to talk about the safety regulations, and it is a non-negotiable parameter. So the role of Atomic Energy Regulatory Body, so this body's role has been expanded. More powers of regulation has been given to this particular body, that if any, let's say, nuclear operator that has to get authority or authorization for safety mechanisms by this particular body, right? And under this, what more let's say powers have been given to the body of AERB, that again they can focus on radiation safety, they can focus on nuclear accident prevention, and how exactly the nuclear companies which are operating are complying with the safety norms which are being provided, right? So this is something, it is again, although we have liberalized with respect to the nuclear energy generation by allowing private players, but at the very same time we are having strong regulation with respect to the safety mechanism. That is something the bill talks about. More on this is, if we see the liability factor, this was a major concern which was restricting private investment in the nuclear energy sector. So what is liability? Liability basically means that in case any accident happens in a nuclear power plant, who will be responsible? So under this nuclear damage, we have something called as no fault liability. What is the meaning of no fault liability? Let's say government let's say appoints a government company which is called technically as an operator. So that operator is operating that nuclear power plant, and let's say God forbids any accident happens, irrespective whether the operator has a, let's say or it was operator fault or not fault, operator is liable to pay for the nuclear accident. So operators pay even without the negligence. Even if it was not the negligence of the operator, still the operator who is operating that nuclear power plant has a liability to pay in case of any nuclear accident. The bill is retaining that particular for a parameter, and it is mandatorily talking about that again all of these operators have to have an insurance, so that in case of any nuclear accident, the victims can be compensated. And let's say the compensation amount is exceeding the limit of, let's say, the operator capacity, then the central government is also planning to create a fund. From that particular fund, the excess amount which is beyond the operator's liability is going to be paid to the victims. So again, this is ensuring what? Victim compensation, and the public will have a trust with respect to the nuclear expansion of the country, which is having a high chances or which are very sensitive with respect to the nuclear energy generation. This is the whole idea of liability parameter. Then with respect to the liability structure, initially the older laws talked about that in case of any nuclear accident, there was a flat maximum compensation which can be asked from the operator, and that was 1500 crores. So any nuclear power plant which has a capacity of creating 10 megawatt reactors, more than that, all of those plants, irrespective of whether they are having capacity of 1, 2, 5, 6, anything which is greater than this was supposed to pay a flat maximum compensation of 1500 crore rupees. So that was something which was maybe not very rational. If the nuclear power plant has less power generation capacity, then why you are fixing a flat slab of 1500 crores? So this is something which the new bill has reformed. It has talked about, it has created certain kind of tiers. Let's say the generation capacity is 8, let's say the generation capacity is 5 megawatt reactor. So based on the generation capacity, the liability is now decided, and again it is ranging from 100 crores to 3000 crores. So it means as per the nuclear power plant generation capacity, the amount of liability will be fixed, which was initially flat 1500 crores. So this is something talking about more the bigger plant, higher is the compensation responsibility which the plant is going to have. Then we have operators right of recourse. So again, very, very important, very key change, and that was something which was limiting foreign investment in the nuclear energy sector. So this talks about that again, I discussed ki if any, let's say, fault or any nuclear accident is happening, the operator of the plant is supposed to pay the liability, right? So under the new Shanti bill, what has been changing now, there are a lot of suppliers who are supplying equipments and, let's say, products to that particular nuclear power plant. So operator had a recourse that again, if any accident is happening and it is due to some fault of some of the equipments, then the operator can hold the supplier accountable and they can ask for again compensation. So earlier the operators could recover the compensation. Let's say the operator is going to pay a huge amount of compensation, right? And that compensation could be recovered from the supplier of the equipments of that particular nuclear power plant. So that made, understand the situation. Let's say if I am a supplier of a nuclear power plant, I have supplied something to the, or as a reactor, something to the nuclear power plant, and let's say after 40 years, one nuclear accident is happening. Now the operator, after 40 years of my supplying an equipment to the nuclear power plant, is holding me accountable for that accident. And that was something which was not attracting foreign investors. That again, investors were very much insecure that what if something after 40 years, 50 years happens in the power plant, then we will be held responsible for such accidents. So this is something which was restricting foreign investment in the nuclear energy sector. And this something has been talked about in the new Shanti bill. So again, let's say earlier, the equipments and the materials, if they were defective, then the supplier was also holding accountable, and that created problem of supply faced a long-term legal uncertainty, and even small vendors could be sued for any nuclear damage. Right. So the new bill talks about that the right of recourse for this defective equipments has been removed. Right. So the supplier cannot be held accountable for supplying any defective equipment. So that is something which is attracting investment in the nuclear energy sector. Right. But it is also allowing the operator that if explicitly something has been written in the contract between the operator and the supplier, then compensation can be claimed from that particular supplier. And for any intentional damage with respect to supplying of equipment to the nuclear operator, that is also being undertaken under this particular new reform. The only idea is it is allowing more private investment, more foreign investment in the nuclear energy sector. Why? Because this whole liability that if equipments are defective, and again, let's say after 30, 40 years, if some damage is happening, some accident is happening, so no longer the supplier has a liability that again, I need to pay compensation for that particular accident, right? So again, it aligns with India's global nuclear liability norm. Then we have one more thing, what other things have, this has made a very clear picture with respect to foreign investment or private investment in the nuclear energy sector of the country, a very, let's say, needed reform for investment in the nuclear energy sector. Then we understand the earlier law did not had a clarity or a clear definition that who constitutes the supplier and what is the definition of it, right? So earlier, does supplier only mean the reactor companies, or it also meant small component vendors of that nuclear power plant? So under the earlier law, there was a confusion with respect to who is going to be called as a supplier. And now the liability with respect to supplier is linked to the amount or with respect to the contract size and the role of that particular supplier. If the role is just of basic administration, then the liability will be very less, or in fact no liability. If the let's say it is a reactor supplier, then again of course the liability will be more. So again, depending upon the nature and the contract size and the role of that particular supplier, the liability will be defined. So small Indian vendors are protected from disproportionate risk, which earlier law had with respect to no clear definition of the supplier. So again, it is leading to what? It is going to boost domestic nuclear manufacturing ecosystem in the country. Then we have the territorial expansion of compensation. Under this new law, Shanti law talks about that if assume any nuclear accident happens in the country, right? So this the earlier law used to talk about that again, the compensation will be given to victims of the country. Now assume a situation, if a nuclear accident is happening in the territorial boundary of the country, and due to that accident some other people or some other let's say people of other countries are getting affected due to this, then the new law tells, depending upon the nature of that particular damage, compensation will also be given to people of other countries who are affected with the nuclear accident which is happening in the country, right? So earlier compensation was limited to the damage within India. So now it is covering nuclear damage in foreign countries as well, of course, subject to certain conditions. So it is, of course, improving India's international responsibility towards the nuclear energy generation capacity. And it is going to be compliance with the global nuclear norms, which is also talking about the territorial compensation, which is supposed to be given to any person who is getting affected due to the nuclear accident happening in India, right? So that is something a new law has talked about. Then with respect to the regulatory body, that is Atomic Energy Regulatory Board. So this was basically earlier a executive made body. So now this Atomic Energy Regulatory Board has been given more powers. It has been given a statutory status under the Shanti Bill, right? And the composition, of course, consists of a chairman, which is going to be a nuclear expert, a one whole time member, and up to seven part-time members. And the term of this board is going to be 3 years, which can be extended to other 3 years. So the maximum term of the body is going to be 6 years. So it is going to make more stronger and more credible regulator with respect to the nuclear energy generation. Then with respect to any, let's say, liability or any kind of appeal mechanism, let's say some of the operator, some of the supplier has any kind of an issue, so they have two options: either they can approach the central government or they can approach the Atomic Energy Regulatory Board, right? So if they are not satisfied with the course given or with the, let's say resolve given by these two bodies, central government and the AERB, they have an option to appeal to Atomic Energy Redressal Advisory Council, which again has been created, and it will consist of chairperson, which is going to be the Atomic Energy Commission, the director of BARC, the chairperson will be chairperson of AERB, and chairperson of Central Electricity Authority, right? So this Redressal Advisory Council is going to hear appeal against the central government and the AERB, and if even they are not satisfied with the recourse given by this particular advisory council, they will again have an option to appeal to the Appellate Tribunal for Electricity. So this is something, a mechanism which is creating a lot of checks and balances with respect to any issue, any complaints with respect to the supplier, operator in the nuclear energy generation capacity of the country. So a very important segment with respect to giving a statutory status to AERB, and let's say having a appeal mechanism which is ensuring checks and balances in the nuclear energy sector generation. So now this is all about the provisions of the Shanti Bill and how certain changes or new reforms have been brought in by this particular new Shanti or atomic, let's say the nuclear energy bill. So why this bill is very important? What is the significance? Because number one is it is allowing private sector to enter into the nuclear energy sector, which is very important for the capacity generation or the capacity improvement of the nuclear energy sector of the country. Then it is going to mobilize large scale capital because investment, the liability clauses, the supplier definition has created more, let's say, investment opportunities favorable to suppliers or manufacturers of Indian as well as foreign companies. Then it is, of course, talking about strengthening the safety and regulation mechanism with respect to improving the territorial compensation component. Then again, giving statutory recognition to AERB. Then we are fighting climate change. We need to change the energy generation sector from coal-based energy to a clean source of energy generation. And this is where our commitment towards the idea of fighting climate change, towards reducing greenhouse gas emission, is going to be also attained if we are relying on nuclear energy generation. So this is something, a very important reform which was needed, a very important change in the nuclear laws of the country which was needed, which this Shanti Bill is proposing. And it, of course, it is going to enhance the energy security of the country. So very important topic for your examination. You can use them in paper number 3. If any questions around energy security, clean energy transition, we can talk about how the government is planning to incorporate private players. You can talk about the Shanti Bill, what changes it has brought in. Then in question GS paper number 2, with respect to the regulation of this AERB, the creation of advisory council, then liability clause, the institutional design which has been mandated or created with respect to the nuclear energy generation, all of them are important important from paper 2 perspective. And the basic facts which this bill talks about again can lead to prelims based questions in the examination. So the current status is the bill was introduced in Lok Sabha on 15th of December. On 17th of December, the Lok Sabha has passed that particular bill. On 18th of December, the Rajya Sabha has also passed the Shanti bill. Now we are waiting for President accent. So let's see how this bill, which is a very important reform, which was a very needed reform, is going to change the nuclear energy generation capacity of the country. So until now, next time, please keep watching for more such informative current events. So all the very best and thank you so much.